Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to Vampire Clan in ClanGen, the Warrior Cats clan generator game. When we left off in the previous episode, we had, I think, a very interesting time because we saw some new mates and then there was a very fascinating breakup where the couple separated and then immediately after that got back together in Owlfeather and Pine Speck, which gave me a momentary heart attack, but we were fine and back on track. Now, I decided, just to give us a little bit of a nudge ahead, that I would play a moon off camera and then catch up with you guys and see what's happened. So that is where we are picking up. It is currently moon 50 and we are in the last turn of New Leaf. So I just did one turn of New Leaf on my own. I have a few notes to go through, not too much. So it was moon 48 when we left off. On moon 49, which is when I played, and oh my goodness guys, I don't know why, I was so focused on taking notes that I completely forgot to actually do any whispering, and I completely forgot to do patrols. So basically in the last moon that I played off camera, I had no patrols, no mediation, like nothing happened. I just went click click with the turning the moon, and yeah, I realized belatedly that I had slightly messed up, but that's fine. So on moon 49, Twilight Fade recovered from his grief and decided to move on from Lightsong. I find this just a little bit surprising because he was very, very attached to her. But I think what did it for him, and I feel like he didn't spend nearly as long mourning her, but I think what did it is probably him wanting to be there for his daughter and be present for his daughter having her Mistwalker ceremony. So there was that, and then now it's moon 50, so pretty much the only event worth noting was that Twilight Fade recovered from his grief and he moved on from Lightsong. So I'm sure you'll be able to notice the lovely cat hanging between the clearing and the warrior's den. I suppose that counts as a clearing of sorts. But our Bloom, poor guys, has aged up. She has had her Mistwalker ceremony. So we're going to take a look at that. And it is something that happened in this episode. So very quickly, let's check out the leader's den. So we have neutrality with Wind Clan, hostilities with the other two vampire hunting clans. And this episode, I think, is quite interesting as well with the events that have happened. So let's take a look. A truce is called, and the war between Wind Clan and Vampire Clan is ended. Grandmaster Shivering Star lost lives to old age, his body slowly becoming more and more frail. The leader has 6 lives left, so he didn't lose all his lives, which for a second there I thought he did, and we were going to have like a bit of a party, but no, apparently that is not the case. He only lost, I think, 2 lives, because he had 8 before, and now he has 6. But he is getting more and more frail, obviously, because he's getting, a lot older. And then Sunnytail was out on a walk alone when he heard a dog approaching. He crawled into a thorny shrub to hide, but got some nasty scratches in the process. So Sunnytail's a little bit injured. I don't know if it's bad enough that he's going to have to sit out of patrols. We'll see in a second. Twilight Fade, this was some good news. Twilight Fade explains to Ibis Freckle that the weakness she feels in her leg will likely always be present, a consequence of the severe damage. Now the fact that she now has a weak leg is not the good news. The good news is that she survived her mangled leg. Her having this permanent kind of damage or this permanent disability, it means that she survived the attack and that she's no longer going to die, which I was very worried about. I would rather Ibis Freckle have the weak leg and be with us than, die with that weak leg, or just die with kind of everything as healthy as possible. I just want her to be with us. So I'm really, really glad that she is not going to be joining her father in StarClan. Fawnest's dreams of romance and love have been crushed by Sunnytail's rejection. So this completely caught me off guard. I was like, what do you mean Fawnest has a crush on Sunnytail? What do you mean he confessed to Sunnytail? What do you mean Sunnytail rejected him? Because I don't think, I've been checking relationships every single moon and I haven't noticed anything. Unless something happened in the last moon, which is when I did not look through any of the relationship notes over here. I didn't even check relationships in the cat list because remember guys, I just went click click on the time skip one moon. So I must have missed out on something that happened But that feels like a really quick turn of events. Like overnight, Thornnest suddenly started having feelings for Sunnytail, and then he confessed to him and got rejected? That's pretty dramatic. And then finally, as the clan cheers for the new warrior, Bloomshriek, who I renamed to Bloomrise, Twilight Fade purrs loudly. His kid is finally a warrior. A new journey has begun for Bloomrise, and Twilight Fade knows that Bloomrise's heart of gold will lead her through anything. So let's go ahead. Oh no. Oh no. I think my mouse just died on me, so give me a second, guys. I'm gonna put in some new batteries and then I'll be right back. Okay, the battery problem has been fixed and we can resume, but let's take a look at our cats. Our very, very tiny clan of just 11 vampires. Burnleaf and Quiet Flight, are they still grieving? Burnleaf is grieving, Quiet Flight is still grieving. But Bloomrise, can we take a look at the lovely Bloomrise? So this is her, guys. Isn't she a lovely cat? I'm actually so proud that our Torty somehow managed to, with her beautiful genes, survive the craziness that is Vampire Clan. And she has retained her compassionate nature and is a great climber. Now, we also know that she has received the title of the Bloom Princess. So she is considered an elite among the clan, like an elite among vampires as a whole. So let's quickly check to see how she was influenced. So she was mentored by Pinespeck. Pinespeck influenced her to be more likely to resort to violence. Pinespeck helped her become better at climbing. When she graduated, she was honored for her heart of gold. So I think the way for us to interpret this maybe is I think Pinespeck, in his own way, has maybe always been trying to separate the gentleness of Bloomrise and separate the sensitivity Bloomrise has to other people's hurt and other people's emotions from the reality of the world they live in, which is war-torn. And she needs to stop kind of sympathizing and empathizing with others and the pain maybe she's putting them through in order to protect herself from pain and defend herself. So that's something I think that Pinespeck, that's his way, I imagine, of showing care, is to make sure that Bloomrise isn't living in this kind of fairy tale bubble or this safe bubble in her mind, and that the way she perceives the world or the way she treats others maybe is reflective of the reality they live in as hunted vampires. So it's nice to see that, you know, his teachings haven't dismantled at her core what she is, which is a compassionate cat, but maybe it's something that she has grown to be mindful of. So that is what we have for Bloomrise, who is very, very lovely. I'm very, very happy that she managed to, you know, live to adulthood. And Ibis Freckle, can you guys see the little scar she has on her leg? She has a little scar on her leg, guys. Oh my goodness, Ibis Freckle. She has that weak leg and it comes with a bit of a scar. Oh, Ibis Freckle. Okay, well that is what we have for the changes with our cats. Let's quickly take a look at the Medicine Cat Den. And look at that. Twilight Fade, I think, has become a little bit better at his job as the Nightstalker, and now he can look after up to 18 members, which is good to see. Ibis Freckle was given Tansy as treatment for a mangled leg, and she healed from that. So her leg healed, but she'll always carry evidence of the incident on her pelt. Twilight Fade gathered marigold, cobwebs, oak leaves, and daisy this moon. Look at that, we've managed to gather quite a lot of things. Goldenrod the most of. We have 30 goldenrod. That's pretty wild. And now let's take a look at our relationships. Only Bluejay and Master Burnleaf know the details about a specific piece of clan drama. What's the next negative thing that's happened? The clan likes one of Bloompour's suggestions, but it was just Bluejay's reworded. Oh, really? So Bluejay and Burnleaf are gossiping about Bloompaw. This was before she had her ceremony as a Mistwalker, of course. Master Burnleaf learns that Quiet Flight has been using him for something. Okay, maybe using him to get close to Bluejay, since Burnleaf and Bluejay are exes and they have history. Master Burnleaf sees that Fornest's piece of prey looks tastier and asks if he'd like to swap. He agrees happily, saying he likes that one better. Twilight Fade and Grandmaster Shivering Star fill a puddle in camp with sand together. Twilight Fade and Ibis Freckle are arguing about something important and risking the clan's safety. Grandmaster Shivering Star hears Owlfeather purring during a nap. Grandmaster Shivering Star, Pine Speck, and Master Burnleaf took a sunbath and had a little small talk. Grandmaster Shivering Star thinks Fornest is trying to steal one of his friends. Quiet Flight runs to greet Master Burnleaf when he returns from a patrol. But I think Quiet Flight and Burnleaf are friends. Maybe Burnleaf, they've been friends for a while, although it started off odd, their friendship. Because Burnleaf, I think he, at one point, was having problems in his relationship with Bluejay because he thought that Quiet Flight was getting between them. And then he and Quiet Flight cleared that up, and then Burnleaf ended up becoming good friends with Quiet Flight. Maybe Burnleaf now, in hindsight, feels a little bit cheated because he kind of sees Quiet Flight and Bluejay together, and he wonders if he was the one who was kind of deluded in his friendship with Quiet Flight, and maybe there really was something going on that he didn't realize. But I don't know. It's a bit late to be reflecting on that because he really doesn't care about Bluejay in that way anymore. Quiet Flight can hear the truth in Ibis Freckle's words when she talks about protecting others. Owlfeather swaps favorite prey with Ibis Freckle. Owlfeather, Ibis Freckle, and Bluejay took a sunbath and had a little small talk. Sunnytail explains what a joke means to Bluejay. Twilight Fade reminds Pine Speck to grab something from the fresh kill pile if he hasn't already. Ibis Freckle and Bluejay are assigned the same task. Fornest and Grandmaster Shivering Star talk about what they see in the clouds. Fornest never realized how much he loved spending time with Sunnytail. Okay, so Fornest over here is spending time with Sunnytail. And then he gets rejected by Sunnytail? I'm gonna have to take a look at their history to see if anything else happened. And then Bloom Rise nods politely as Master Burnley passes by. So at this point, she's had her graduation ceremony. So that's what we have with the cat list. Let me wrap things up here and we'll continue. With the events. Geez, sometimes this was an autopilot mode where I just said something without thinking about it. But we are wrapping up with events and then we're going to continue with the cat list. Okay, let's continue with the cat list. Starting off with loyalties. Nothing in that regard has changed. Everything is still the same. But in terms of relationships, there were a few things that I actually noticed, guys, which was quite unexpected. So the first thing was with Master Burnleaf, who has had a romance gain for Bluejay. So when I was going on about how that's done and dusted and, he has completely kind of moved on, forgotten about Bluejay, like that's fine. Apparently that's not the case. And I did a little bit of investigation, and apparently in the last moon, Burnleaf gave Bluejay a circular two-leg object he found and hid behind his whiskers when thanked. And I think somehow from that, maybe tied with, a bit of his loneliness, he kind of started missing having Bluejay in his life in that way. Yeah. And if you guys remember, Burnleaf, I'm pretty sure, was the one who broke off the relationship with Bluejay because at the time, I don't think Bluejay was his first mate. I think he had another mate. Hold on a second. Is there a way to check this? I think it should be in the family tree. Yeah, Pumpkintail was his first mate and his first love. Now, I could be wrong about this. I don't think Burnleaf ever fell in love with Bluejay, but I think Bluejay fell in love with Burnleaf? I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that Bluejay, or Burnleaf was Bluejay's first love. But at the time, Burnleaf kind of hadn't entirely gotten over Pumpkin Tail, and I don't think he felt as though he would ever be able to see Blue Jay in a romantic light, even if they had at one point become friends and he was happy to, have kittens with her. He couldn't see himself being with her romantically, and he basically ended things. Now, Blue Jay took that a bit tough because she was hung up on Burnleaf for a while after that. But Burnleaf at the time was far more interested in Twilight Fade. But so the timing didn't work out because, Burnleaf was having his own thing, and then it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. But I find it fascinating now that after all of these moons, maybe his perception of Blue Jay has changed, or maybe at the time he wasn't emotionally ready for that. And I mean, funnily enough, even though, yes, he broke it off with Blue Jay because he couldn't see a future between them, he never actually got involved with anyone else. So there is that. But now that, Blue Jay is with Quiet Flight, and Blue Jay has his second love, Quiet Flight, I mean, they both actually have their second loves in each other. I think Burnleaf is maybe feeling a little bit scorned, maybe a little bit kind of lost, because he lost a really good friend in Quiet Flight, and now he's lost, his old mate in Blue Jay. So maybe he feels left out now that Quiet Flight and Blue Jay are a thing. So that was one thing I noticed. The other thing I noticed was with Blue Jay herself. So Blue Jay, guys, has also had a romance gain for Burnleaf. And I think she actually has a bit more romance for Burnleaf than he has for her. How much does he have? He has a bar and a bit. He has a bar and a bit. And then Blue Jay has 2 bars and a bit of romance for Burnleaf. And this is why I kind of feel as though Burnleaf was Blue Jay's first love, because it's kind of hard to forget your first love. And just a little bit of interest from him, attention from him in that light, like a gift from him. And now suddenly Blue Jay, she's thinking about Burnleaf again. And I don't know if Blue Jay maybe feels from Quiet Flight that Quiet Flight was a bit too quick to rush their relationship, and maybe Quiet Flight is still kind of using her as a placeholder for Hazelpelt. Maybe Blue Jay feels some of that, and so she can't help being drawn to Burnleaf in turn, which is very, very fascinating. But yeah, that's what we have going on here, and I don't think there was anything else in the notes for these two. Now, the third cat I noticed something with was Sunnytail, and this is something we were curious about. But Sunnytail, guys, has a romance gain for Fawn-Nest. There is a bar and a bit of romance there. So I did some investigation, and apparently Sunnytail was sparring with Fawn-Nest in the last moon, the invisible moon that we had where I played off camera. They were sparring with each other, and apparently that was enough for Sunnytail. Maybe they had so much fun together that Sunnytail started developing a bit of a crush on Fawn-Nest and enjoying Fawn-Nest's company. And then the last thing I noticed was with Fawn-Nest, which kind of completes the puzzle between the two of them. Fawn-Nest has also had a romance gain for Sunnytail, but he's got a bit more. He's got 2.5 bars of romance for Sunnytail. And if we look at his history, in the last episode, Fawn-Nest decorated Sunnytail's nest with flowers to surprise him. And then, in this episode, we saw that he realized how much he loved spending time with Sunnytail. So I think maybe what happened is that Sunnytail and Fawn-Nest had a sparring session together, which was actually surprisingly fun for them and really, really good for them. And they kind of had a lot of chemistry with each other. And maybe Fawn-Nest, being, his childish self, kind of enjoyed maybe playing around with Sunnytail and teasing him because Sunnytail's a bit nervous. And then he saw some flowers, and Fawn-Nest was reminded of Sunnytail, so he got those flowers and decorated Sunnytail's nest, surprised him. Sunnytail really appreciated that. both their feelings grew a little bit more, and then when Fornest in this episode realized how much he loved spending time with Sunnytail and started becoming aware of his feelings, Fornest probably, with his childishness, I think comes some impatience, and he felt as though, like, why should I wait? Might as well just go. I should just go and pursue him now. I should go and tell him now. But Sunnytail is a nervous cat and probably a more cautious cat when it comes to things like this, and I think he was maybe a little bit frazzled by Fornest's confession, like it was a bit too quick for him, and he kind of very quickly shut that down to maybe protect himself and also to kind of keep things at a pace that he felt comfortable with. So I don't know how this is going to be going forward, but it still seems as though they do have that attraction to one another, and I wonder if Fornest is going to understand that and maybe take things slower at Sunnytail's pace so that Sunnytail isn't spooked by how fast things are progressing between the two of them. So I thought that was very fascinating. Basically, yeah, things did happen very quickly, almost like overnight, but across, the last moon and this one for the two of them. And that was all that I had in terms of relationships. So why don't we go ahead and jump to our Whisper Blue Jay so that she can have a whispering session between, not Sunnytail, between Feather and Pine Speck. So there we go. Oh, excellent. Trust, romance, platonic like has increased. Jealousy has decreased. So these two are getting along quite well. And I think in the last episode, we saw some shyness between them because they were in love, but they didn't have any sort of romance in the whispering session. And I think we said it's because that was the first time they were facing each other after realizing they were in love and they were a little bit shy. But now I think some of that shyness has gone away and they have become more comfortable in each other's presence, more comfortable with their love for one another and not necessarily hiding it or, playing cool, basically. So that's really good to see. Now let's go ahead and see what everyone's doing for the day. Grandmaster Shivering Star was startled to find himself in Silverpelt for a moment. Did he just lose a life? He is 194 moons old, oh my goodness. Master Burnleaf went out to hunt by himself. Twilight Fade is relieved Leaf Bear is finally over. Twilight Fade, Leaf Bear's been over for a while, no? It's been over for a few turns now. Blue Jay is feeling underappreciated. Quiet Flight is eating some fresh kill. Sunnytail, you know what, the underappreciation thing, sorry, sometimes I go back because my brain catches up after a few seconds. It's buffering, it's lagging, but with this feeling underappreciated, I wonder if it's to do with Quiet Flight and maybe Blue Jay realizing that their relationship is moving too fast and maybe Quiet Flight isn't necessarily maybe seeing Blue Jay for Blue Jay herself. Maybe she's using Blue Jay as a placeholder for Hazelpelt. I think Blue Jay is maybe starting to get a sense of this. Okay, Quiet Flight is eating some fresh kill. Sunnytail wonders once more if it would be better as a Whisper instead. Feather had a nightmare involving a two-leg trap. Pine Speck scowls for no reason. Fornest is gnawing on a small bone busily. Ibis Freckle is on a walk out in the territory. And Bloomrise wonders how Grandmaster Shivering Star is doing. So that is probably, she's a bit worried that he lost a life. But okay, that is all we have for the cat list. Let's wrap up here and move on to patrols. Okay, we are continuing with our patrols. We currently have 42.5 prey, we need 31. We're going to send off our Nightstalker Twilight Fade first off to see what he gets up to. Twilight Fade tastes the air, trying to decide if it's warm enough to gather catmint yet. He'd really like to replenish the herb stocks after Leaf Bear. Proceed. Twilight Fade carefully picks out catmint from its known hiding places, carrying it back to camp where it will be stored away from excitable warriors. So catmint was gathered, and then we're going to have a patrol of 6 and a patrol of 1. So let's see what happens. Okay, so Grandmaster Shivering Star, Fornest, Ibis Freckle, Feather, Bloomrise, and Pine Speck are going to go on a patrol together. This is going to be Bloomrise's first patrol as a Mistwalker, as an independent Mistwalker. As the patrol spreads out to hunt, Fornest admits he thinks he had a vision from StarClan last night. Proceed. Fornest notices Grandmaster Shivering Star looking at him enviously and withdraws from the rest of the patrol, dismissing the dream as unimportant. A very small amount of prey is brought to camp, but at least they found something. So now we have 57.5 prey, and finally we are sending out Sunnytail on his own. So let's see what he gets up to. Sunnytail is checking along the borderlines when he hears a startling sound, a hiss of pain. He quickly follows the sound to the source. It's a loner, one who appears to be injured. Proceed. Sunnytail approaches cautiously. The loner draws herself up, but doing so causes her to let out another hiss. Sunnytail offers to bring her to camp. Though she seems hesitant, the loner agrees. Snownull joined Initiate Clan. Your clan's reputation towards outsiders has improved. Snownull, let's take a look at her. Where is she? So this is Snownull. Oh, she's a pretty cat. This is what she looks like when she's healthy. She's an adult female with cobalt eyes, a single color pelt. She is troublesome and an unusually strong fighter who has a mangled leg. Oh. So she used to live as a loner, but another cat chased her from her home. She took refuge in the clan, in Initiate Clan. Okay, so she is actually going to join as a proper initiate. She's not one of the half initiates because she came into the ruins. She got to know the vampires and what they were about, and then she was accepted into Initiate Clan. So she is going to be here as one of the cats who we keep a close eye on for, future genetics. And oh my goodness, look at that. Lightning Rock. Lightning Rock has aged up and he looks so pretty. Oh my goodness, look at him. He looks beautiful. He looks lovely. Wow, some of these cats are really, really nice genes. Really pretty genes. We're getting a little bluish cats though recently. I feel like, yeah, we have quite a few bluish cats with Crowpetal, Lightning Rock, and Snownull. Fascinating. At this rate though, I kind of feel like Initiate Clan might end up becoming bigger than, Vampire Clan itself. We're only divided by how many cats at this point? Look at that! We're divided by like 2 cats. We only have 2 more vampires than we have initiates. It would be nice if we could, change that around. But okay, that is all we managed to get done for today, guys. But I am thinking now that we don't have any kittens or fledglings in the clan, I'm actually going to play off camera until we get another pregnancy notice, and then we can come back and continue the story with these guys, because that is going to be quite exciting, isn't it? And in the meantime, just like I did at the beginning of this episode, I'm going to note down all the major events that happen, and then we can talk about it when we come back as a quick recap. So okay guys, with that said and done, I am going to leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.